This is hand-drawn line art. It's all on one layer. This was not done with the line work layer, which is right here. You remember that if you click the line work layer, you get all of these new options like weight, color, edit, pressure, curve, and line. This was not done with that. This line art was hand-drawn. When you're on a regular layer, you have these options, which is pen, airbrush, brush, blur, marker, eraser, select and deselect. The easy way to use the select and deselect buttons are very simple. Use Control and Alt to increase and decrease the radius. And the simplest way is to just color in like this. This blue color is the select and deselect color. It's not any other color. To deselect, you press deselect and Control and Alt to adjust the radius, and then you can use it like an eraser to erase. If you use this button, the magic wand button right here, it can make your job a lot simpler. You have to be on the line art layer to do this. Now that I've clicked the face, it just instantly does it, but it's not perfect. So I'm going to use the select tool and I'm going to go over and click in little places, just color in places that weren't done correctly, and use the deselect tool to erase things that I don't want in there. Now, let's say that your line art isn't connected all the way and you have an open line, as in you have this line, but it's not connected right here. It's open. So if you try to use the magic wand, it's going to basically choose this whole screen. Now, if you're looking at this, you might think, oh, do I have to erase all this like this? No. Hit Control D and get in that habit, because if you hit Control D, that means you're deselecting everything on your canvas. Sometimes you'll have a tiny little dot, like tiny dot like this, and you don't realize it's there. You maybe manually deselected everything with the deselect tool, but you didn't deselect this little dot. If you go to draw, you can't draw on the canvas. So Control D, now you can draw. But let's pretend that we want to fill in this shape, but we don't want to use, color it in the whole way. Let's pretend that that would be really obnoxious and annoying. So let's hit the select tool. We're going to trace the line, and then we're going to close it. So wherever we want, basically just outline what you want to color in. Then go to the magic wand tool, click inside, and now you have it selected. Control D to deselect. I'm going to show you the simple way to lock your layers. Let's make a new layer. Let's drag that layer underneath the line art layer. If our layer was over the line art layer, then when we colored, it would just do that. You never want to color on the line art layer if you want your lines to be clean. But it's fairly simple. Just pull your layer underneath the line art layer. Click on your new layer. I'm going to show you how to use the preserve opacity. We're going to just choose a color, use the pen tool, and I'm going to make a blob. If we check the preserve opacity box, it locks the layer. See, it says locked right there. Then when we color on it with another color, it colors inside of the circle. That way, if you wanted to grab the blur brush, you can come by and blur it. If you uncheck preserve opacity, then when you add on, it doesn't go inside the circle. If you want to try out things, you can make a new layer over top of it. So I'm going to make the original layer. I'm going to name it original. The second layer I'm going to call clipping mask. If you hit clipping group, you get a red bar next to the new layer. So if I wanted to choose another color and just try stuff out, but I don't want to commit to it, I can use that clipping mask. Maybe I want to add another layer and hit clipping group, choose another color, make that even smaller. Let's go in here like that. If you uncheck clipping group, you'll see that it gets rid of the restrictions or the perimeter, but you can easily hit the button again and fix it. Let's say that you're happy with this and you want to cut down on the amount of layers you have. Then if you hit this button, you can take layer 1 and merge that information down to the layer underneath. So now we can delete layer 1. All that color and perimeter information is now on the layer underneath. So on the clipping mask layer, I can hit that same button again. It's called transfer down layer. And now I can transfer it onto the original layer. I can get rid of that clipping mask layer. Now I just have a circle with these lines, and I can preserve opacity and lock it. So if we wanted to continue to draw in here with another color, we could. I'm going to show you layer masks, and this is the way I usually do my coloring if I want to do an anime style or just control a layer. You're going to have the layer underneath the line art, but we're going to be on the line art layer when we select everything. I'm going to select her face with the magic wand tool, her hands, and her legs. Gonna go in here, use the select tool to get all the little pieces that I couldn't get before. And if I mess up, I can use the deselect tool. And I can use the deselect tool to not select the eyes because I don't want the skin to be on the eyes. That would be terrifying. And it's okay to draw over your line art, the black of the line art, because the line art is above it and it's not going to make a difference. In fact, I recommend drawing over the line art because then you are sure that you have gotten every little white speck that might show up later and annoy the poop out of you. I'm going to leave a little bit of leg for an example, just to show you that if you don't get this step completely right, it is not the end of the world. Okay, once you have selected what you want to select, you're going to go to your new layer, layer 1, and we're going to hit this button right here. When you do, you're going to get a black box with a red outline and a white box. The black box is selected right now, that's why the red outline is over it. When you click the white box, the red outline goes away, and you can select the black box again whenever you need to. The black box has all of the perimeter information, so everything you selected is in the black box. If you look very closely, you can see some white. That's what is selected That's what we're coloring. That's the skin that we selected. And the white box is going to hold all of the color information. So if I took a brush and got the skin color and I just went across the whole canvas, it colors in the skin and it doesn't go all over the hair and the dress. But you can see that the white box is now a beige box because that color is all over the canvas, but the black box is limiting it to what you selected. If that doesn't make sense, it will once you work with it. If you click this little button right here, you will find that it takes away that black box information, and now you're just left with everything colored. You click it again, you're fine. Let's pretend that I made a mistake and this leg, I want it to be the skin color, but I messed up and I didn't do it. That's not a problem. You can do this several ways. If you click the black box, you can either use your select tool and outline it, use the magic wand, get in there and make sure you did it right, and then you can use the pen tool. When you use the pen tool, it basically puts in it increases the limitations, it increases the perimeter. Now all of this beige color that's covering the canvas can come through. So if I wanted to keep doing that, let's hit Control D. If I wanted to keep doing that, I can add color. And likewise, use the eraser to erase information. So let's just pretend that I didn't want the hands to be skin color. Maybe that these were white gloves, but now it's in my black box information, and how can I undo it? Just take your eraser and erase it. Now it's not in your skin information. Now if you wanted to just maybe make her black for some reason, or brown, maybe she's brown. Oh, we can click back on the beige box and we're going to color in the skin color, but when we color over the hands, they aren't turning brown. They're white gloves now. So when you're on the black box, let's say that I wanted the eyes to be the skin color, which would be strange, but that's what we're going to do. And you take your pen tool, and I always use this basic pen tool because it is a basic color plopper. I don't know if that makes sense, but I always kind of keep it on the hard edge. If you use airbrush, I don't know if it'll work. Yeah, it cannot, it won't let it do it. So you have to use the pen because we're trying to work in hard perimeters. Uh, so I'm going to just use the pen tool, and now I'm adding in that color. I'm not coloring it, I'm just letting the information change. It's hard to understand until you start actually doing it, and then you'll understand. And just like everything else, if you don't like it, erase it, and you can just keep everything separate. Say that I want to do the hair. Well, I'm going to click on the line art layer. I'm going to get my magic wand, and I'm just going to click the hair. Now, because it doesn't understand the shapes very well, it's going to not be as easy to do the hair, but it is possible. I usually will click in with my magic wand really fast, um, and then come in with the select tool and color it in. It's no biggie. You could even make several layers and have the hair on different layers to do gradients and stuff. And then when you're finished and you're happy with it, you can merge it all together uh, with the transfer down tool, or you could merge it with this other tool right here. All right, here. I'll show you how to use that in just a second. Okay, so we're getting the hair. I'm not going to do this perfectly. Just trying to show you. It's harder to do with the mouse. Okay. And if you just want to do it quick and then erase with the Deselect tool, to each their own. It's just whatever you feel like doing. You don't even have to use this method. You could just use one layer or two layers and just paint freestyle. I like to do that a lot. But then at other times I get really anal and want to do it this way and control everything because I never choose the colors correctly. Alright, so we're gonna click in, we're gonna do the eyebrows too. And then all this junk. And I'm just not gonna do that. Okay, so there's the hair. I'm on the line art layer. If we just hit pen and went to town, it would cover over the line art, and that would be crazy talk. We're going to make a new layer. We're going to drag it underneath the line art layer, and I'm going to call this one hair. And then I'm going to hit the new layer mask, and it's going to create the information for me. You're always going to start on the black box, but you want to click to the white box so that you can add your color. Doesn't matter what color, you can always change it. Okay, now we have the color. If I wanted to add in this little wisp that I forgot, I can hit the black box and just put, oh, whoa. Okay, obviously need smaller radius there. And you see how like I'm trying to color the hair, but up here it's still white. Well, the reason for that is if you go over to the white box, we never colored in up here. So now it's got color information all the way up here, and we can hit the black box again and erase what we don't want. Now you can sit here and make different layers for everything, for the dress, the shoes, the bear, everything. Uh, and just hit it with the base color, because right now we just got base color hair and base color flesh. But this is the cool part is you can click on the skin layer and you can, let's see, we're going to use the watercolor tool. We're going to choose a darker skin color, and you can come in and lay in your basic shading. Okay, let's say that that's what I want. But I want to experiment a little with it, and I'm not sure. I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to click a new layer, and I'm going to make it a clipping group layer. And I want to give her like blush on her cheeks. But I'm not sure how I want to do it without messing everything up. So I'm going to just do that. Now it's inside of the layer, like it's not going outside. But I don't want to have so many layers that I can't tell what's going on. And I'm happy with this. I want to leave this just like it is. I'm confident I'm done with it. So I'm going to try to merge or to transfer the layer down. That worked. But let's pretend that I want this hair layer and the skin layer on one layer because I want to condense my layers. If I transfer down, I lose the hair color. It's white now because the black box information didn't transfer down with it. Let's Control Z, which is undo, and we're going to use the little thing I told you about earlier, which is the merge down layer. Now this just takes all the information and it just gets rid of it and combines it into a basic layer. So now my line art layer is a basic layer. This is just the color layers. There's nothing special about it. I could still make this a preserve opacity layer and lock it and come in here and only, color the hair or the skin. But it's harder to color like that because now the pink is getting into the skin color. That's why I never really do that until the end. And sometimes I don't even do that. It's for smaller stuff when I've got the detail the way I want it. I will condense those layers and then it'll be just the dress layer. And I always keep the dress layer separate from the skin layer. I pretty much will make layers, like a few layers, and everything that touches they won't be in the same layer together. If they don't touch, they can be in the same layer together because if you're coloring the hair, it won't you don't want to have the hair with the skin. But you can have the hair with the dress because they don't ever touch. And as long as you don't, have a radius like this big, then you're going to be fine. Now, apparently, I've never actually looked at Paint Tool Sai, so there's this button and it says merge down layer and mask individually. I'm gonna hit it and see what happens. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what happened is it did transfer the black box information down, but because my colors were all over the place, it just messed up that. So, I'm sure that it has its uses, but for me, the merge down layer and just making it to a regular layer is fine.